A good day. Yeah. Y'all did well on the quiz. Well, when you win the review game, that's kind of nice, right? I'm about to say. I've done it before for a test. Have I done it in this class for a test yet? I've done it before like that. It gets really intense. Yeah. Yes.
It's 2x to the second.
Oh, it should be 2x to the third. That's my B.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't remember this.
2x to the third. Thank you, Devin. 2x to the third. That might help a little bit.
Coach, we're going to have to know the horizontal asymptote for the test, right? So,
Yes, you'll need to know those. For the test, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Large on top, no.
Vertical is just at the domain, right?
It relates to the domain.
That is sports.
It's the same thing. It's just x cannot be equal to so.
Oh, it's
If not, I can look at it.
Is that when I said equals 0? Or
This
that-
is the rules. Where if it's 3/2, we would have what horizontals here?
Would it be 0?
Be 0. Yeah. Or none. None. It's on the top. Yes, ma'am. Sometimes you can have two. I would say it's only 4.
It's the
One
set.
more thing at the bottom. The top would be my extra why is it even should be just means that this
Coach,
right?
That's like I still do it to be like
I thought it was yeah, you're really just setting the top part.
or just the top part.
Coach,
Yes, what's up, guys?
when you said,
Nice.
you said he put it in 0.
Yeah, 0. It would actually be 2 and 0. You have to set, you're literally setting both of those equal to 0. Does that make sense? Cool. Great job, y'all.
Coach.
So you said the Y, you said the
You're good. Couple things, the horizontal. And the second thing is because this is canceled out here. Right here, -4 is not. Just that. The horizontal would be straight on the top of the bottom.
But you just plug in 0
So there would be
to get the Y.
none. Good. Yep.
You only do 0 and 2. And then,
That's where I plug 0 for X.
Correct.
so you use those vectors as 0.
Good.
Oh, you would just plug in.
It's actually still 0.
0
It'll be on top.
0
Is that why you got 0? So you set it all equal to 0. And then you just solve it.
Yep. So it'd be
0 on the bottom.
I saw it. And if I correct that,
Okay.
you understand?
That's cool.
And then you saw it, right? You just
Oh.
They actually missing 50%.
I'm sure that 2x, you don't drop that, right?
Too slow.
Or all of the x's. Cool.
The coach, is this right?
Yeah.
Is it right for the main?
You did the top. It really should just be the number. Or the vertical axis. So -4.
Oh, so it would be that, would be this one? Would it be-
Correct. Not x-intercept, just the vertical axis. Cool. So I think there's 2 of these, right?
I
Is there
get
2
that.
x-intercepts? You got it. Make sure you set your hand.
Oh.
Good. And that should make sense because 0, 0 is the origin, so it's an x and y intercept. But yeah, looks good. And oh yeah, and the horizontal. The horizontal is greater on the top and the bottom. Good. Okay, hey, let's look at it together real quick. And here's the thing. We're going to hop into this. We're going to go into kind of a secondary kind of lesson as we kind of spice around, okay? All right, so I'm guessing like 2 to 3 problems is what we're going to do, okay? So, but it kind of incorporates where we're going. First thing, when we factor this, did anybody have issues in factoring? I think I saw everyone factor pretty good. We would get y is equal to, or f of x is equal to 2x times x minus 8. No, it's not. What is it? X minus?
X
X plus 2 minus 2.
That's it. X plus 4. Thanks, Hunter. And then minus 2. Okay? And then on the bottom, we factor it to? Good. X plus 4 and x minus 4. Okay? All right. Is everyone good so far? What do we cancel? X plus 4. We get left with 2x times x minus 2 all over x minus 4. Okay? All right. What's the vertical asymptote? 4. Good. Hunter, good work there. Someone raise their hand and tell me what would be the horizontal asymptote? Jake.
None.
Yeah, why?
Because the degree on top is larger than the degree on the bottom.
Good. We can go back to the original with the horizontal. Since the degree on the top is greater than the bottom, we would say that this would be none. Very good. Let's go to domain. Domain, remember, it goes back to my vertical asymptote. Therefore, my domain is what? Hannah? Good. That's exactly right. It all relates back to my vertical asymptote, right? Okay? Good. Is everyone okay so far? Yeah. All right, awesome. X-intercepts, we plug 0 in for?
Oh no, back to the domain.
Yes.
Do you want those brackets for the 4s or just parentheses?
Yeah, good question. Does it hit that 4? Or does it come approach it?
Oh no.
Because it's an asymptote, it approaches it.
Oh, okay.
So we just say it's a parenthesis. Good question. Good. Let's do y-intercept. I think that's easier. We plug 0 in for x, right? And Hannah, what did y'all get? Good. Y'all got 0, 0 because as we plug it in, you'll notice that it gets 0 on the top and 0 over anything would be, I think it's 0 over -4 is just 0, right? So the way we describe it is 0, 0. Okay? Thoughts on x-intercepts? So our last one. Any other? Did y'all get x-intercepts? Yeah, how'd you do it?
Y equals 0.
Yeah, so we set this equal to 0, right? So 0 equals this. What are we really setting equal to 0? Well, the x minus 4 we multiply by to get to the other side, which would be just 0 on the left.
X minus 2, 0.
Good. We really set the top equal to 0. Okay? Vertical asymptote to the bottom. The top is the x-intercept. Okay? So 2x equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. What are the two x-intercepts?
0 and 0.
2 and 0. Very good. And that's how I would put that in for x-intercept. So how I would describe this is 0, 0, and 2, 0. Okay? All right. For the majority of the problems next Friday, you're going to need to do this first. Okay? Are there any questions on how you did this? All right. I kind of held out on you a little bit, but you're old enough now. You ready? Okay, we're adding one more thing. What did we cancel out?
That's one of those.
Yeah, literally it's a whole, right? and it was x plus 4 on top and bottom, okay? So stay with me real quick, and then I'm going to have you do another one. When we cancel this out, the x plus 4, what we say then is that is a hole. So we have a hole at where? What location? -4. Good. So how a hole is on the graph, it means that it's like going in a certain spot, and then it has a hole and then continues. Okay, that's like what it would look like. Okay? So as we look at it down here, the hole would be at -4, comma, any thoughts on how I find the y? So again, let me make sure I say this again. Because this was canceled, it is not a vertical asymptote, it's a hole when it gets canceled. But to find the y, I can do what? Plug it in for what one? You're exactly right. Good, the x of the simplified version. Does that make sense? So the simple version, I plug -4 back in to the simplified part, okay? So as we do this, we have 2 times -4. What's -4 times, or -2? -6, good. I think I already 2 times -4 times -6, and then what's on the bottom? -4 minus 4 is? -8, good. So what does the top turn into? 48, good. And what's the bottom? -8, good. Earlier, Roger. And so -48, or +48 divided by -8 gives me what? -6, and so that is the y of my hole. So literally in that graph, where the graph hits at -4, -6, there's going to be a huge hole. Okay? All right, questions on that? Okay, here's what I want you to do. This one's easier. You ready? We're going to go into graphing. But before we do, we're going to go kind of forward on this. And Hannah, I kind of lied a little bit. We're going to actually do one that's a little easier. And we're going to do one, let's do number 11. Okay? Can y'all see that? 5 plus 2x over 1 plus x. Okay? Here's what I want you to find. This is the easier one, I think. Is that simplified? Is that factored? Yes. So you don't have to worry about that. Is there going to be a hole? No. Why no? There's nothing I could cancel, right? So therefore there will be no hole there, okay? Good. I want you to go ahead and find all of this stuff right here, okay? So there's no hole, there's no slant asymptote. I want you to find all of the other things right there, okay? For number 11. Okay, number 11. 5 plus 2x over 1 plus x. All right, go right ahead. Just find the characteristics. This one's a lot easier now. Now it's easier. Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question. This one?
Mhm.
On horizontal asymptote, leading coefficient running 2 over 1.
Correct. That's exactly right.
So it's 2.
Good. Yes, ma'am. Come on. Exactly right. Good. Y'all good over here?
It's not bad, it's just.
As long as I don't give it to Olivia on that side. Did y'all feel pretty good? The only thing I would say, these aren't points. It would be x equals -1 and y equals 2. Would you mind? You want to put them up there real quick? They're good to go. Good. And you, again, the hole and slant asymptote, as you know, are non-existent.
Can you check some?
I'd love to. Some of the stuff I saw.
But it's just gonna be over one.
Yeah. Those seem a lot easier now
Yeah.
compared to the factors.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't started so hard.
It's just plugging 0 into x, 0 into y.
Right, I know that.
No, it's
The fractions are less. Makes sense.
that's ridiculous.
Rosemary, good work. Yeah, looks good. Looks good.
Yeah,
Hey, just make sure on the y and x intercept, make sure there are points, okay? That was the only thing. As I'm looking around. Good stuff. Yeah. Thank you very much. Great job. Yeah, good work. Good work. Hey, as we go through this, I think I've checked everyone's. Jack, did I check y'all's and Devin's? Not yet? Okay. I'll check it real quick. Because I know I was checking around. The zeros are the x-intercepts. So it's kind of the same thing. So you're good. You're good on that. The only thing I saw on that, Devin, is just make sure that the y-intercept is 0, 5. Cool? Okay? All right, here's the thing. Here's what I need from y'all. Okay? 2 things. First off, first one's quick. The first one, and I was just talking through this, that vertical and horizontal asymptotes do not have to be points. Okay? So remember, vertical is just x equals -1, and the horizontal is y equals 2 because it's just a horizontal or vertical line. Okay? All right, so here's what I need from you. If you haven't gotten it yet, I would do this. Right over there's just like a blank sheet. It's not anything you need to turn into me, but it will help you when graphing right now. Okay? So if you haven't gotten one, I would get it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to graph this. Okay? Now, here's the cool thing. If you already feel pretty good about this stuff over here, which from what I could see, y'all are starting to get to the point where you're like really good. Now we're going to just graph it. Okay? All right, so let's talk about this. X equals -1 would be a what? Yeah, x equals -1. Would it be like a point? Would it be a vertical asymptote? It's a vertical line, right? Okay, that was kind of a dumb question, but okay, we'll go with it. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll go vertical asymptote at -1. All right, I check them off. Just me. I check them off because I miss it if I don't. Okay. The second thing, I just go to the horizontal asymptote. Okay. And by the way, just a heads up. I'm actually going to give it to you in this format where you'll find the characteristics and then graph it, just like this. So y equals 2 will be a horizontal line that goes across. Okay? Check that one off. The x-intercept, or intercepts, it's only one, is -5/2, right? Or -2.5. So I'm just going to put a point right in here. Okay? Good stuff. 0, 5 is my y-intercept, so I'm going to go from 0 all the way up to 5. Okay? And my domain is really not anything that I graph. I just know that that's the domain. So I don't really graph the domain. I just know that that's what it is. Okay? So we could just leave this as is here. Okay? Now here's the thing. You've got to stay within your vertical and horizontal asymptotes. Sometimes you have to plot different points. So sometimes you might need a t-chart. In this case, maybe not as much, but I'm going to do one anyway. Let's say for some reason I wanted to put in some points. I just wanted to check this out to see what was happening over here. I might plug in like -5, right? I could do that. I could also, just a heads up, I could go to my calculator. And if I pull it up, I can actually plot these points. Have I showed you this yet? Let me show you this. What was the top again? 1 plus 5 plus 2x? All right, divided by 1 plus x, right? Okay. If I graph this, sometimes it's hard to see the graph, so it's kind of weird. I'll try to go like zoom standard or something. If I graph this, it looks something like this. Sometimes that's hard to see a little bit. But if I go to second graph, that gives me the table of my values. That's basically my t-chart. Okay? So what I mean by that is like if I wanted to say Well, what's happening at -5? Well, -5 is 1.25. So I could just put, okay, -5, 1.25. I could plug -5 in, or I could do it on my calculator as well, okay? But when I look at that, that'd be -5 and 1.25, so it'd be right here, okay? So here's how this rolls. This thing is going to rise, but it can't cross the horizontal asymptote, right? So it's going to rise and kind of approach it, but not cross it. The same thing holds true as it goes to the right. It's going to come, but it can't cross this wall, right? So what's it going to do? It's going to go down for real, okay? It's just going to go down there. Now the top right, same thing. It's going to try to push left, but it's going to approach that vertical asymptote. And as it comes down, what's going to happen? Approach this one, and that would be what are my rational expression. Okay? Good. Questions on that? Gotcha. Mason.
When you want us to graph this, is it okay if we just like have those two like points, or do you want us to like use the X and Y chart to like figure out more points?
More points? I would say for the test, if you just have 1 point on either side, you're good. Sometimes, and this isn't always the case, sometimes you may not have points left or right. So to see whether it's in the corners or they're both up here or it's opposite, what I like to do is just maybe plot 2 points on the left side of the vertical asymptote, 2 points on the right, just to see where it's at. And I know that it's either going to be here or here on this side, and I know it's going to be either here or here on this side. Can't be both for what we're doing. So I would say 1 is sufficient because you have a good idea of where you're headed. But if I had more time just to show or prove it, I might add a little bit more. That's kind of vague, but I would say only need 1. But if you add more, we'll make sure that you're sure. Cool? Hannah?
So when we're doing the T-chart, it's okay if we use a calculator to find those stuff?
Yes, I'm okay with that. I will say, though, if you look at your calculator on the graphing part, it's not going to be enough for you to, like, you'll have to do this,
Right, no, right.
graph it,
Yeah.
and then use your calculator to kind of check / use the table. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, here's what I want y'all to do. One more. That's it. We'll do one more. I want you to go through the whole process, okay? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we had a hole, let's say it was at 4, I'm making it up, 4-3, okay? Then literally what you would do is just have a hole, and then it would just continue.
Okay.
Just be a hole in that graph, okay? Good question. Okay, go to number, what one did I say? 17. X over x squared minus 1. X over x squared minus 1. Make sure you factor the bottom first, okay? Factor the bottom first, and then find your characteristics, and then go ahead and graph it, okay? This one's a tough one. This one's a good one. Y'all can do it on the boards too if you need to. Say it. That one's it right there. X over X squared. Good. Yes. Should be what would be the first wall I would come to? And then it would be from -1 to 1. And then 1 to. Okay. So that really it's all reals except those two values, right? Perfect. Exactly right. Good job. Yeah. What's up, y'all? If y'all get this, whoever gets this problem right in your groups, I've got 6 tickets for it. Okay? You can get it. Gotta get it.
Are you right? Yes.
I checked your work.
You could do it by yourself, but then maybe compare it with someone around you.
You just plug it in.
It would be mine was zero. It's good right now.
What do you get for your Y? 0?
X, Y intercepts that from 0 and 4. What do I
Do I
count?
put the last one at the bottom, or do I put it in?
Here's a hint, if you put in the x-intercept as 0, 0 or a y-intercept as 0, 0, it'll be the same, you know what I'm saying? So if it's in the origin, if it hits the origin, it'll be both an x and y-intercept. Does that make sense? Yes, yes ma'am? Good, that's perfect. Good. Now I want to see if you can graph it. Okay? This can be this one's tricky. This one is tricky.
Are the right checkers?
Yeah, it's great.
When we're putting in the graph, the original graph.
The original. Yeah.
We got
And when you put these, it's just zeros, comma zeros. So you got just hit this one. And you're working hard to push these to them. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, hon? Are y'all working together?
I think it's right. She doesn't think it's right.
What do you think's not right?
I think that, yeah,
That's what I'm it's on the right.
No, that's actually good. There you are. Because the degree, when it's equal, you would divide, which is what y'all did. But because the original,
that is a horizontal asymptote.
look at this, but this isn't a degree of 1, it's actually 2. Because
And then the other one.
and how do you find, like,
do this, I would go ahead and graph what you have now, and then see where you're at. Does that make sense?
Coach, when I graph this,
Mhm.
would it be like the left of negative 1 or negative 1 or 1 comma negative 1?
So-
here.
So the vertical asymptotes are at 1 and negative 1, right?
Yeah.
Is anyone struggle graphing this right now?
Yeah.
It's a little tricky, isn't it? I think almost everyone got this part right. So I'll help you with this before I give out tickets and you try it. Right now you have a horizontal at 0, right? Everyone got that. You've got 2 vertical asymptotes, one at 1 and negative 1, right? Now here's what you know. How many sections do I have? 3, right? Do you see that? Because we're looking at 1 over here, 2 over here, and 3 over here. So it's almost like I got 3 separate graphs, right? Where does the x and y intercept go? It's just 0, 0, right? That's all we have. So we have one that falls right here, which is really strange because it falls on the what? Horizontal. I thought that couldn't happen. And actually, this one's weird. This one's weird. Yes, technically it should not fall on the horizontal. There is one exception, and I'll talk about that in a second here. So if this is all I have, I'm going to have to create a what? T-chart where I'm plugging values in for x, either using my table on my calculator, or I can just plug in values myself, whatever works for you, okay? But go ahead real quick with the x and y. Plug those in, see if you can solve for it, okay? Cool. You got some? Great job. Yes. In the middle region, it can cross the horizontal. That doesn't mean it always will. It's not a hole. No, that's a good point. It's possible to cross if it's in the middle region. The horizontal, right? Never crosses the vertical. Never crosses the vertical. But it's possible to cross if it's in the middle region. If there's 2 vertical aspects. Cool. And again, sometimes depending on where it's at, possible. Just the middle region. Though. Cool. Did you get the other parts right on the left side? I think I already checked yours though.
Yeah.
The other ones. I'll come around and check real quick. There's a middle part, there's a middle bracket.
Coach, I mean, I see it on the graph, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it looks weird.
Yeah, that's it.
Do a table. When you go to your table, or do this even. If you plugged in 0.5 into your equation and negative 0.5 into your equation, try to see what would turn out there. Cool. You could just plug it in by hand to this right here.
So you plug it in for the X.
Or, yeah, you'll plug it in for X. Or if you wanted to do it on your calculator, if you go to second window, it says table set. And what you can do is you could, that delta table is a weird way of saying, hey, I want to make this 0.5. So every time that it goes to the next one, it would be 0.5. So if you went to second graph again, you see how it kind of
Yeah, I got it now.
goes down?
Wait, can you show me? Sorry, can you do that again?
Yes, so second window, and then your delta table just means the change in your table for each value. Make it 0.5.
Wait, you graph it.
Alright, Coach, I got it now.
It doesn't matter. I would change it to a negative like 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, I got it. 0.5.
So it's like a.
Yeah, that's how it is.
I just forgot how to get the 0.5. Coach, we got it, Coach.
How do you do it?
No, leave it on.
Yeah, yes. All right, as I'm checking it, you'll get it.
Is this right?
Yes, that's right. I owed 1-1. Good work.
The night before. So you made at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, hey, let's look up here. Rosemary, are we okay? Okay, let's do this. Diego, would you mind just taking a seat? You can still look there. That's perfect. I just wanted to show you real quick. All right, let's go here. Y'all rocked it. Great job. When you went to your table to actually plug in the values, you should have gotten, or how about this? Someone give me, what did you plug in for your table over here? You've got like 3 different regions, right? -2, -3, that's good. If you plug in -2, what do you get out?
0.667.
0.667, good. So -2 and 0.667 is up here. And -3 would be 0.375, so 3.8, so a little lower. So literally this thing is coming up and approaching, and coming down and approaching on the horizontal side as well, okay? Questions on that? Okay, cool. What about like on the right side, the third region? You plug in like 3, what do you get when you plug in 3? Or could have been 2. You see that?
-0.5.
-0.5, perfect. On 3?
No, 2.
On 2? -0.5. So this thing's going to go a little bit lower right here. So this is going to be in the bottom right. So it's going to go just like this and just like this, okay? All right? Now the middle part's probably the toughest because there's not a whole lot of section, okay? This will be our last part. When we do it, though, do you notice that the dot falls on the horizontal? I thought you couldn't do that. It's not a hole. That's a good thought, though. What I'll say is this. If it's in the middle region, there's like an exception that the middle region only can, doesn't mean it always will, but it can hit the horizontal. It can hit the horizontal asymptote and even cross it. Only in the middle, okay? So when we do this, I believe it will rise to the left. So it should be like right in here, right down here. So it'll fall right and rise to the left, okay? When you create that T-chart.
Wait, how?
Okay?
Oh, because of the teacher.
Correct. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's negative.
Yeah. Well, he's the positive.
I got the same thing.
May I come
Jake-
back and look at that real quick? Is that cool?